Oh boy, do I have a lot to catch you lot up on. Hello friends, welcome to the first season recap for the MTK Building a Nation save over, of course, on Twitch. But before we get into anything else, I want to sort of explain how these are going to work this year, because it's going to be a bit different to what you would have seen from me last year, and hopefully for the better. Please excuse the fact that I'm wearing a Christmas jumper in November. It's comfy, it's cozy, and I want it to be snuggly, alright? Now, of course, if you want to catch the full VODs of every single stream, they are over on the second channel, linked in the description in their entirety, the day after each stream. And of course, right now we are live over on Twitch during the transfer window for the start of the second season, which is an absolutely big moment for us. So join me over there after you've watched this. As much as I would love to be in a position to be able to offer individual stream highlight videos for each stream that happens, it's simply not possible in the situation I currently am in. In order to edit down 3-4 hour streams per week, it simply would take me days, and that's just not something I have time for. And unfortunately, I'm not in a position to be able to bring on an editor to do that. Should that situation change, that might be something we could look to in the future, but I want to make sure that we get the best recaps possible with more than we had in them last year to keep you guys along with the save if you're not able to make it to the streams. So we are going to go over a little bit of pretty much everything that's happened over the course of the first season of this save, interspersed with some things that have happened during that period as well that are maybe not even relevant to the save, but we felt needed to be included anyway.
Just using like a plushy goose to control the stream. But then, they're wrong, because my fucking face is attached to it and I've got to get it. I am a goose's arsehole.
Now, given it was our first season at the club, we had high expectations on us. The plan was we had to get promoted this year. That's what the board expected. And in order to rustle up a little bit of extra cash to aid us with some slight squad strengthening, I also told them, maybe somewhat erroneously, that we would win the league. And that's a hell of a task to do when you have no idea really how tactics are going to function, how the players are going to work. And I was extremely worried. So let's get into things first. Now, there wasn't really any outgoing transfers at all for us that weren't already done prior. There was a couple of loan players that had gone out, but that's really about it. There was some dead wood that I wanted to move on, but it wasn't actually possible in the timescales that we had, so most of that will have to happen through contract expiry. So let's move on towards some of the players that we've actually brought in. This time around, when it comes to things like signings, I'm not going to talk too much about their performances, although you can see them on the screen anyway, as we will be talking about that more in the statistics and analysis section towards the end of the video if you're more interested in the stats kind of stuff. But the first player that we brought in was Ilan Petriceau from France. Well, he was released by Lens, and we were able to pick him up on a free transfer on £230 a week, inexplicably. A wonderful recommendation in chat was to try to get Jentel van Genechten, and apologies for the pronunciation of his name, but he has been an absolute superstar for us on loan from Eupen this year, contributing assists and a goal, and just fantastic work from him. Easily one of the standouts for me in our first season. Next up was a little bit of a meme signing in Panache Mutimbanyoka. Those of you that have seen my saves in the past will know him very, very well indeed. However, we'd signed him for Dundee United on the Twitch beta save, and he was rubbish. We thought we'd take a punt on him here, £8,000, and actually, we got a very good roll of the dice. His attributes are far better in this save, and as a result, he's actually able to have a very, very strong season for us, leading the line for our side this year. But again, more on that in a little bit. What a player. We also did what we always do in these saves. We signed Regan Bloody Booty from Maidstone United. It cost us £40,000, which admittedly is a lot of money for the booty man, but you can't not. You just can't not. Not when you get goals like this from him, and not when the game throws up moments like this.
I did not assign Regan Booty number 69. Superb. Well, he has to be number 69 now. Why did it assign him number 6? Oh, that's just luck as... That is lucky as fuck. Incredible scenes.
He's worth it for that alone, and he actually has had a fantastically good season, playing 34 games for us this year, in spite of perhaps the lower star rating than some other players. He's been excellent, and there's just no two ways about that. 5 goals and 3 assists. Didi Narendorp joined us as a left-back cover on loan from our affiliate side, NEC, over in the Netherlands, and has done an okay job for us this year. Hasn't played that often, but has just been there as a useful backup. Robin Roofs also joined us on loan from NEC this year, and despite the progression that you can clearly see from him over the course of this year, he's had a pretty poor time of it. Oludare Olafunwa was a slightly different story. We brought him in on a loan from Liverpool, who are our major affiliate, which is very, very useful indeed. However, despite him playing 11 matches for us by the halfway stage of the season, Jurgen Klopp had decided that they were going to recall him because he wasn't playing in the exact correct role, and now he's gone back to Liverpool to play no football, so I'm sure that's working out well for him. More on that in a minute, as this could not be more personified in the story of Ibrahim Sissoko, another player that we brought in on a loan this season from NEC. He slotted straight into the lineup, played 18 matches for us over the first half of the season, which is basically every game, but they record him in the midway stage because he wasn't playing in the exact role that they had decided was the key. The problem I've often found with those is that when you try to negotiate a slightly different role or remove it, half the time they just will not budge on it. And it's like, would you like him to play football or not? Moses Jaju joined us on a free transfer from Fortune FC over in, I believe they are in the Gambia. The one thing he does lack as a centre-back is the heading ability, but for the price of nothing, he's come in and done a relatively solid job for us, and I believe is a really decent centre-back for the future. We also added Stefan Bajcetic from Liverpool to sort of back up that centre-back area after all those players were returned or recalled from their loans. I don't think he's been fantastic for us, to be fair, and maybe it was a bit of a mistake even doing this loan, but we almost just wanted to see if we could. But it wasn't until March that we stumbled upon two absolute beasts. The first of which was Adrian Kapralic, a Slovakian right-sided, left-sided, any side you want him, winger / inside forward, basically can do a little bit of everything. And to get him on £1,300 a week was magnificent. We could not believe our eyes. He's 20 years old, extraordinary quality, and to join us in the second tier midway through the season was absolutely stunning from him. Just really, really cool to see. And of course, he scored this goal for us, which was his only goal of the season, but what a finish it was. And our final signing of the year came at exactly the same time. Bobir Abdeholikov, the Uzbek striker, who somehow, because of Shomurodov's form for Roma, doesn't really get many games for Uzbekistan, but my goodness, is he a phenomenal striker. And to pick him up, it was just life-changing for us, really. He came in and just did things for us. So that was what we did as far as recruitment goes for the first season of the save. But you're now thinking, okay, cool, but how did you slot these guys in? So let me talk you through how we sort of came about the tactical evolution that brought us to where we are at the moment. We needed to build a tactic that would fit the playing styles and rigors of the league that we were playing in. We started off with, well, basically the same shape that you're seeing right here, a standard sort of 4-2-3-1 with the two DMs, but with some slightly different roles that have sort of evolved over the course of the season. Initially, we began with a regista on the left-hand side of the midfield too, along with some other stuff. However, upon losing our first game 1-0, we were a little bit worried and decided to revert back to the roaming playmaker that we'd seen have some good success in some of our preseason friendlies. One of the other things that we changed originally was to have the inside forwards duties switched over so the attacking was on the right-hand side. This was because we were originally going to have to be playing a very poor attacking player in the wing-back role here, and we didn't want to give him too many things going forward. However, once we were able to sign Van Knechten, it made things a lot easier for us and we were able to revert back. As far as instructions go, the biggest change that we made in the initial parts was noticing that low crosses were an incredibly key part of this tactical start. With the wingbacks being so aggressive on attack and getting to the byline, we were finding that getting crosses from those byline areas to players like Panache for little tap-ins was absolutely vital to us getting some goals. So switching to low crosses rather than mixed did seem to have a good effect on us here. Another change we made, which is something I've never really experimented with in previous FMs, was to set up a situation whereby basically our wingers, or inside forwards in this case, would swap positions at random intervals during the game. If you don't know how to set that up, in case you've never experienced this before, if you go to player in tactics, you can actually set it down here and they will choose at random moments, usually when the ball goes out of play, to swap sides of the pitch. And at the moment, chaos is certainly the recipe for success in this current match engine, so I would highly advise you trying this if you get stuck with a tactic. And the conclusion we came to essentially is that with the way that players get dispossessed a lot and there's a lot of chaos in the defensive areas of the pitch, wouldn't it be better if our players just had the ball at their feet as little as possible? And so with that in mind, we decided to try Dribble Less, a tactic I've used, or an instruction I've used in the past to great success. This year for me feels more powerful than ever. The idea being, if your player is constantly passing to each other, there's going to be less opportunity for the ball to be nicked off their feet by random poor touches, in theory, and it does seem to play out that way. As the very first game that we tried it in, we ended up winning the match by 6-2 and absolutely destroying our opponents. And that might not seem like a big deal, but these guys, if I recall, ended up coming second in the league this season, so to beat them by 6-2 was quite some result. We do have a backup tactical style, which we refer to as the Merchants of Chaos normally. The idea with this one is just maximum chaos, so no playing out of defense. That's basically the biggest change. The other big change from it is the distribution specifically to the striker, no matter who's up there. The idea is basically get that ball forward as quick as possible to the striker and just cause chaos in the defense. Before we get to talking about the league performances as a whole and the story of the season, let's just briefly talk about the youth intake. We were promised a 5-star golden generation, and would you believe it, Emmett Doran delivered.
The minute you get uptight, you're dead.
Oh, for God's sake, Emmett, not now. Like, what the fuck is going on? Emmett, like, we've discussed this.
Jesus Christ. Emmett's like, hey, your loved one might have passed away, but remember me, bitches. You should be seeing a screenshot of the youth intake as it was when it actually properly came through on the screen right now. You can see that we had an extraordinary amount of good players, which we were kind of expecting, given that MTK have one of the best youth recruitment setups, at least, in the country. The highest rated player, in theory, in the entire thing was Attila Mila, a young 15-year-old goalkeeper. You can see that he does lack a few things about his style there, but he does good handling. His reflexes are okay. Command of area is okay. 6 foot tall, good-ish on both feet. Tibor Anyal was actually considered to be the real star, I suppose, of the youth intake, but there's another guy that I actually think might even potentially be better. But I feel like with someone like Tibor, again, the low self-belief personality trait is going to be an issue for him, but to come through with 13 tackling, really nice physicals, he's already shown some progress so far. Crossing of 6, which for a fullback regen is honestly not that bad. And then there's this chap, Daniel Yepes. Now, don't let his star rating fool you. Originally, it was slightly higher than that, and I still believe there's an extremely good quality player here. And let me tell you for why. He has good physicals for someone who's only just turned 16. Mentals are also still really quite decent for his age. Nothing below a 5, but this is the real thing for me. Good on both left and right feet, and is a natural to play on both the left and right side of a defense, and that doesn't happen very often. I feel like, weirdly, despite the lower, perhaps potential ceiling, I think he might be more likely to reach it than some of the others, and could be a really solid player one day. Putting that aside, now it is time to look at the league performances. After losing our opening day game of the season against Pekshi, we made those slight tactical tweaks and were able to go on a 3-game winning run, bringing us back up again. But it was once we made the changes against Jury that things really took off, and we went on a 6-game winning run to propel ourselves to the top of the league. We were very unfortunately beaten at home to end that winning run, but got back on the horse with 3 more victories before Christmas to really establish ourselves there. After Christmas, we had a slightly weaker squad due to some of the loan recalls and some of the major injuries that suffered during that period, like Bognar being out for 3 months with a hip injury, and of course losing Rios and various other players, which definitely did cause us to drop some points in this era, but we were able to maintain top of the league. But yeah, I am now dying, so if you'll excuse me, to heaven with me. Hit me with the cock and balls and I'm yours. We went on a huge winning streak, firing ourselves to the top of the league, and were able to win the title with 6 matches to spare at this point, eventually winning the league by 26 points. But none of that really mattered one iota, as we did win the league by 26 points. It really stretched over that last 10 games. We were 13 points clear with 10 games to go, and extended that gap by 13 points over the next 10 matches, as the teams that were fighting over those roles, most notably Spartacus and Haladash, who really fell off. And when you look at the XG table, an expected goals of 84.8, this tactic has goals in it, and defensively also the best defense in the league, so exactly where we'd expect to be. We should have won the league at a canter, and we absolutely did that. The top flight title was actually won by Ferencváros in the end. Puskás led this league by a large margin at one point, and at one point they were separated only by goals scored, but it seems that the end has not quite worked out for them there. There is still 1 game left to play, I believe. As for the other Hungarian sides in Europe, most of them did sod all. However, Ferencváros managed to qualify for the Europa League group stages, got 3rd in their group, dropped into the Europa Conference League knockouts, and managed to push their way all the way to the quarter-finals in the first season of the save. Absolute dreamland for us. Only went out to Boda on penalties. So that was a huge jump and a huge amount of coefficient points earned in the very first season of the save, especially as a result of that 6.375 season, one of Hungary's best for years. We're in a great spot. And it's also allowed us to move up by, I believe, 3 spots in the end. We are going to move above Romania, Azerbaijan, and Bulgaria. And with them getting to that and getting that 1 victory, they were able to stay above Poland and not lose a spot there. So 3 more spots will be gained. Worth noting, of course, that we have £730,000 in transfer budget to spend, along with £30,000 in wage budget available. The board were blessed. I don't know how they've done this. We are literally in like £500,000 worth of debt. I don't care. Point is, I think, which we're doing over on stream right now, building a team with that, with some of the players we've already gotten on trial, is going to be hella fun. I'm not going to lie. We could build a team that I think could do top half with that kind of money in this league with our current setup. That's enough of that pit stop. It's time to have a little look at the stats themselves and see who's performed well and who hasn't. Panache, top scorer at the club, 16 goals, led the line brilliantly, overperformed his XG, and just had a really good season, the 21-year-old. Very, very proud of him. Bobby himself, coming in with only 10 matches, scoring 8 goals, and not only that, being in a position to get 10.35 XG, he's averaging over 1 XG per game. Bognar as well, managing 14 goals and an enormous XG haul with 6 assists to go with it as well. Fantastic signing. Probably would have had even more were it not for the 3-month hip injury he got for riding that bloody jet ski. Janos Sepet as well, fantastic centre-back, just did a great job defensively, but also chipping in with 8 goals this season was genuinely fantastic. Booty was never brought in for the goals, but when he scores them, you know they're always going going to be good. 5 goals this season, 3 assists. As playing as a roaming playmaker, he often got hockey assists rather than direct assists. Mateusz Kovac has had a blisteringly good start to his career at the club. Only 19 years old. Clearly has high potential, has developed extremely well this season, getting 11 assists and 4 goals to his name. Would like to see a little bit more on the goal scoring side out of him, but the 11 assists really does make up for that. He has been fantastic. Martin Palinchar did an excellent job as well, filling in for Bognar when he was out injured with 3 goals, again could have been more, and 6 assists to his name as well. You can see that some of the midfielders and wide men definitely need to be chipping in with a few more goals if they can. Kapralik may well have only started 9 games for us, but he's got the 2 assists and a fabulous goal to go with it. He definitely needs to contribute more goals. As you can see, he has underperformed here, but I feel like he's very capable of doing that, and I look forward to seeing what he can do, especially with the quality of the goal that he did score. Mihaly Katar just did a solid job screening the midfield and the defense, and just was a really solid option, particularly at only 21. He's a fabulous player. Shenan Medjej on the left-hand side of the defense, slightly less expected assist from this position as well. Did still play the whole year and had a fabulous year. Just the 3 assists and 1 goal. Still happy for him though. Jarju upon joining was fantastic and contributed to the team really, really well as well. You can see that some of the youth players that we moved up to the top flight didn't exactly cover themselves in glory, but they're still very young. Looking a bit further down, we also had Jean-Paul Noj, who was a fantastic centre-back partner that often played off of Sepe. Did a fantastic job. Didn't score, but he didn't need to. He wasn't there for that. Jentel van Knechten was absolutely ridiculous this year. No goals for him, but he did still get 11 assists and was just constantly a rocket up and down that right-hand side. I think he had one of the best average ratings in the entire team. Lastly, to Robin Roofs, who, despite, don't let the good average rating fool you, we very often found ourselves in a position where our opponents' only shots were regularly going in, to the point where we'd have games where they'd get 3 shots on target and score 3 goals. It happened, I would say, possibly even double-digit times this season. Our opponents only got shot of the game on target was their only goal, and that's worrying. Moving specifically to goalkeeping data, you could see why we put Roofs in the team over Shimodi, and it actually did to improve. To be fair to him, it did improve. At one point, he was expected like 87%, and he was down in the mid-60s, which was utterly astonishing. Over the last few matches of the season, excluding the final day, obviously, he did seem to improve there and has definitely worked his way into the top echelon there. And maybe if we can get him back on loan next year, potentially there could be an opportunity for his redemption. Our aims in total for next season are really, I believe that this team in its current state is comfortably strong enough to stay up next year without too much trouble, genuinely. But with the money we've got available, I believe that we can build a side that should be able to get top half. That is exactly what we're doing over on stream right now, spending that 30,000 a week in wage budget and 700 grand to strengthen this squad dramatically to really make a huge impact in the top flight. And hopefully Panache and Booty and the lads will be doing that right now. So drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed this. It lets me know that you want to keep seeing this stuff. Subscribe if you're new to the channel to follow along. And of course, join me over on Twitch for the rest of this save. I'll see you guys soon. Happy Budapest, I guess.